A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant political development, the recent Italian referendum aimed at easing citizenship laws and enhancing worker protections has been declared invalid due to disappointing voter turnout. The referendum, which spanned 2 days of voting, saw participation from less than 30% of eligible voters, well below the required threshold of 50% plus one needed to make the vote legally binding. This outcome is viewed as a setback for the center-left opposition and labor unions that had championed the proposals, marking a clear victory for Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and her far-right coalition, who actively opposed the initiatives. The referendum included 5 key questions, one of which proposed to reduce the residency requirement for applying for Italian citizenship from 10 years to 5. Advocates argued that this change would benefit approximately 2.5 million people and help address Italy's declining birth rate by attracting more foreign nationals to the workforce. Other questions focused on reversing labor market liberalizations and expanding liability for workplace accidents involving contractors and subcontractors. Despite these pressing issues, the turnout was alarmingly low, with reports indicating that participation was particularly weak in the southern regions of Italy, such as Sicily and Calabria, where it dipped as low as 22%. The U-Trend polling agency noted that turnout was notably higher in wealthier northern and central regions, as well as in larger cities, suggesting a regional divide in engagement with the referendum. Prime Minister Meloni, who has been in power since 2022, had previously encouraged a boycott of the vote, asserting that Italy's current citizenship laws were already adequate. On the final day of voting, she was seen visiting a polling station in Rome but did not cast her ballot, a tactic she had indicated she would employ to discourage participation. This strategy appeared effective, as many Italians seemed to heed her call, resulting in a turnout that fell significantly short of expectations. Giovanbattista Fazzolari, a close aide to Meloni, commented on the referendum's outcome, stating, "The opposition wanted to turn the referendum into a vote on the Meloni government. The response is very clear. The government emerges from this stronger, and the opposition is weaker." This sentiment was echoed by Meloni's party, Brothers of Italy, which celebrated the low turnout as a rejection of the opposition's agenda, posting on social media that the referendum's only aim was to destabilize her government. The failure of the referendum has prompted criticism from opposition leaders and labor rights advocates, who argue that the government's indifference to these critical issues represents a broader democratic crisis in Italy. Maurizio Landini, the General Secretary of the Italian General Confederation of Labor, expressed disappointment over the low turnout, emphasizing that millions of Italians had sought to make their voices heard in favor of change. Activists had hoped that the referendum would galvanize public interest in labor rights and immigrant integration, particularly in light of Italy's demographic challenges. The proposed changes to citizenship laws were framed as necessary for the integration of children from non-European Union families, allowing them to apply for citizenship after 5 years of residency, rather than the current 10. As the dust settles on this referendum, discussions are already underway about the future of the referendum process in Italy. Some politicians are calling for an increase in the threshold for initiating referendums, arguing that the current system leads to wasted resources and disengagement from the electorate. Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani highlighted the financial implications of the low turnout, noting the costs associated with sending ballots to Italian citizens abroad, which ultimately went unused. Historically, referendums in Italy have seen varied levels of participation, with only about half of the 78 referendums held since World War II achieving the necessary turnout for binding results. The last successful referendum was in 2011, concerning the privatization of water services. In conclusion, the failure of this referendum not only underscores the challenges faced by the Italian opposition but also raises critical questions about voter engagement and the future of citizenship and labor rights in Italy. As the political landscape continues to evolve, it remains to be seen how these issues will be addressed moving forward and whether future initiatives will succeed in capturing the public's attention and participation. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.